Hi, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Rocket Lab, of course, that's one of my all-time favorite small rocket companies, is working on a lot of really exciting things right now. And I just recently caught up with the CEO and founder, Peter Beck, just back in December when they were opening up their new launch pad in Wallops, Virginia. But they're still working on a lot of really cool and exciting things between then and now, and they have a lot of cool things coming the rest of this year, even though the world's kind of currently on pause. So I got a chance to catch up again with Peter Beck and ask him more about their crazy plans to catch a rocket with a helicopter. Now, if you need to know more about this, how it's physically possible, or why it's never been done, I've already done a pretty in-depth video that you could watch before or after this interview. It's really fascinating stuff. Okay, on to the interview. Hey Peter, how's it going?
Good, thanks Tim, yourself?
Good to see you. It sounds like you guys are staying still pretty busy considering all the things going on. You've done quite a bit since the last time we spoke in, was that December or November? November, wait, I don't remember.
December, I think. December, yeah, we opened the site in December, yeah.
Yeah, when you opened up LC2. So what all has happened since then? It seems like you guys have done quite a few things behind the scenes. You had another launch. Yeah, give us a little rundown, a little update on what Rocket Lab's been up to.
Yeah, so it's been super busy. So as you pointed out, we did another launch, and it was good to get that one away for that particular customer. Big deal customer, that one.
Yeah.
And you know, things don't slow down. So you know, obviously we won the NASA Capstone mission to the moon. So that's a very big project for us with Lunar Capstone. So and sorry, the Lunar Photon stage. So massive project, massive engineering undertaking, super cool program, super cool program.
Sorry, when's the first stuff for that actually slated as far as on the calendar?
Yeah, February 2021.
Oh man, that's gonna be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Launched out of LC2. That'll be a big deal. So it's gonna be fun.
And what else have you been working on?
Yeah, and also flat out on recovery. So we've made some big strides on recovery. So for recovery, there's really I think we've spoken about this before. There's kind of three main pillars of trickiness, and the first one is, you know, could we get a stage through the atmosphere in one piece? And we did that a couple of times in a row, which was great. The second one is, can we reliably catch a stage out of midair with a helicopter? Right. And then the third one is, can we get it under parachutes and slow it down? So we've been beavering away on all three of those areas, and had some success in some of them.
Yeah, and I mean, I happened to catch this little video of you guys actually working on the parachute aspect and recovering it with the helicopter. How many times have you guys worked on that? Tell me how that's going. Has it been pretty exciting? Have you had any mishaps, or has it all been going pretty smooth?
No, it's gone very, very smooth. So we did a test drop with a dummy stage one, and it was quite the logistical feat actually. We had in the end we had 3 helicopters and 2 giant boats and also a recovery vessel. So it was quite the flotilla of aircraft and boats to get this test. But we basically stooged out into the middle of the Pacific and dropped the test article from one helicopter at around about 6,000 feet, and then the other helicopter had our hook and capture mechanism, and it came in behind and lined up and picked it out of the middle of the sky, first try. So that was really good.
You guys made it look pretty easy. I mean, honestly, I was kind of shocked that it just goes, and it looks like all you have to do. I don't quite get the grabbing mechanism that grabs onto the actual the drogue chute there. What is that, like some kind of hook or something, or how does it end up? It looks like all you have to do is kind of touch it and it magically is grabbing onto the line. What's going on there? Yeah,
so it's an aerodynamically stable shape, so we can fly through the air at reasonable speed, and the rope stays nice and controlled, and also the hooking system retains its stability. And it is pretty simple in the fact that you have your long tag chute and drogue out behind the main chute, and then with the hook, the idea is to just touch those 2 lines, and then once the 2 lines touch, you just sort of slide up, and it snags in a wee mechanism, and then that mechanism pulls on the parachute and deflates the parachute and you take the weight and away you go. But I have to say, Tim, the pilot, near-air pilot, made it look super easy, and we're all sitting on, you know, out at sea, so it's watching it from a boat, and it's just like, oh gee, that doesn't look too bad at all. And so when Ned landed, and you know, we went and spoke to him, you know, I said, wow, geez, Ned, that didn't look too bad at all. And he was like, oh no, I was working for that. So, you know, he made it look very easy.
Yeah.
But he was certainly working for it.
And definitely anyone skilled in their profession makes really hard things look really easy. And that pilot just absolutely knocked it out of the park, because it just looked like it was not a big deal. So I guess the one of the things that I was wondering about, you show the booster, how it's, you know, for now, just the mock-up dummy, which just kind of landed down on what would be its engine bells. What is the process going to be like? Please tell me there's going to be a giant robot with giant arms and just going to grab it out of the sky and lay it down gently. What's your plan to get it safely down somewhere?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on how you define a robot. But no, basically it's a jig, and basically a half shell jig. And you know, the helicopter pilot, once you've snagged it, you have very good control of actually where it is, provided you don't have too many prevailing weather conditions, so you can come in and just grab it and make it nice and simple.
Really? So it actually is going to be grabbed onto out of midair, basically.
No, not out of. Well, I mean, you have to. You know, there's the marine platform with a jig, and then you come along, and there's a lot of tolerance in the vertical and translational planes. So you come on and just.
Has that little process been practiced already?
No, but that's not one I'm worried about at all. It's no different to just long lining with a helicopter. You know, a really good pilot, you know, can do incredible things. You know. With accuracy and long lines, so that's not a tricky one.
No, that's awesome. It looks really exciting. It looks like you guys have made really good progress in that. Did anything change after the second time you guys have now made it through reentry? Did anything surprise you, or anything change from the first reentry going through to the second? Did anything change? Is there any hardware that you've now added after the first two that you're preparing now for your third time? Just give me a rundown on where we're kind of at there.
Sure. So Flight 17 is where we're targeting, or Build 17 is where we're targeting the parachute system to fly on. So Build 17 is well down the production line now, and we're qualifying a lot of the systems. So we look, every time you re-enter something like that, you learn a lot. But I guess we didn't learn enough between the two flights to warrant continually doing it, which was a discussion point amongst the team. Is, you know, should we just continually refly these recovery systems? And basically, until we get some parachutes under it and really get it back and see what we've got, it's not, you know, it's not pointless, but it's extra data, but it's not valuable enough to warrant the aeroplanes with RF systems, you know, out in the middle of the Pacific, and all the logistics that go along with tracking a stage down.
Yeah, so in other words, just to reiterate, because it's kind of hard to hear you sometimes, but just to reiterate, basically you're thinking now, stop trying to solve the full problem, and you're going to basically still try to recover one, but not expecting it to be reflight worthy, and just kind of see what needs to be improved upon. Is that what you said? Yep. So from so the point of the next, you know, phase of the program is to splash one down in the ocean in any condition. Okay.
So we're working really hard on the parachute systems to do that. So that's really the next big milestone is to get something splashed down in the ocean that we can go and fish out. And you know, there wasn't too much more to learn by just continually re-entering stages without any parachute systems.
Right. That makes sense. And so after that, you'll kind of look at what needs to be beefed up in the heat shield, what needs to be beefed up, and any other things, and you'll kind of have a good starting point to really, a good data point to really be able to move forward and not waste R&D on something that isn't going to work out.
Exactly. I mean, we've proven that we can re-enter it. There's not a lot more we can prove by just keeping on re-entering them. At this point, what we need to do now is get one back. And look, that's the ultimate proof in the pudding, right? We'll get it back, and if it looks in great shape, that'll be a huge bonus. If it's just hanging together by a string and a thread, and we were just lucky, then that's a different set of problems to solve. But obviously the stages are well instrumented, and we're looking at heat flux and temperatures and things like that, and the stage is making it back in one piece. But the post investigation after recovery is really where we're going to see where we're at.
That's awesome. That's got to be really exciting, knowing that you're making progress on something that so few people have ever really done and really accomplished. I mean, on top of your list of achievements already, it feels like you're plowing through this pretty quickly. And man, it's just crazy to think that you're that close already to really be able to pluck one out of the ocean and see how it did. I mean, is that going to be on the next flight then already?
No, Flight 17 is
Flight
when
17.
that's on.
Okay.
Yes, there's a block upgrade for Flight 17. Obviously the parachute systems, there's quite a lot of interface there, both structural and system level. So, but yeah, the team's really kicking it. I mean, we're moving through super quickly, and it's great to put the work in the beginning, do lots of testing and analysis, and come out the other side with positive results. There's a lot of I've been reflecting on this quite a bit recently in development programs. So there's kind of two schools of thought, right, with a lot of these systems is fly really early and take lots of risk and have lots of failures, or spend a bit more time, do the analysis, really understand what's going on, and use those flights as kind of final validation points rather than massive learnings along the way. Well, so I think there's a really careful balance to be made there between like just going for it and blowing crap up versus doing a good level analysis and understanding, versus going the other way, which is just analyze to death and then build one thing at the end, which we don't subscribe to either. There's a middle point there where I think there's an optimum curve in the kind of effort versus reward.
Yes.
If you're over either way of the curve, you can spend a lot of time with broken hardware. If you're this side of the curve, you spend too much time total that you don't get any results.
That's really interesting you're talking about that, because that's actually a topic. I'm kind of comparing the development and iteration of a rocket like the SLS versus a rocket like Starship, and you couldn't have two more different approaches to development than those two rockets. And it sounds like you guys are kind of finding that happy medium where it's like, when it's because that is an art on its own. That is apparently an art on its own. It is learning when to move on, when it's good enough, and when it's still good enough to not be risky but still give you the next step, And watching what you guys are doing, it looks like you're riding that line perfectly. From what I can tell, is that like this is good enough to get us to the next step, but you're not spending years on on the chalkboard though either. It seems like you're kind of right in the middle there.
Yeah, you're right, that is the balance, and I think that's part of the success of Rocket Lab is being able to find that knee in the curve where you're optimizing for time and efficiency and resources.
Yes, because that's not free.
No, nothing's free. Nothing is free in this game. Everything is very expensive.
Do you think you'll actually save money by recovering boosters, or is it literally a matter of increasing production cheaper than doubling the size of your factory? Like, give me that balance. Do you think like the economics of flying a helicopter again is not free, the boat, all that stuff is not free? Do you think give me the balance sheet approximately of what you feel like that's going to be right now?
Well, I mean, the key driver here is not economics, it's manufacturing. Now, if we're able to do this really well, and let's take the utopian state where we can pluck it out of the sky, put it back on the pad, charge up the batteries, and fly again, then clearly there's a very strong economic advantage to that. But I'm more realistic that there's a middle point where we pluck it out of the sky. There's a chunk of it's fizzed up, and we need to refurbish at a reasonable amount. So at that point, even if you come out kind of economically net, from a production standpoint, you don't have to carry all of that facility infrastructure and people to be able to meet the same production rate. I mean, it's the little bit of German in me coming out. It's just ultimately efficient, it's and Scottish too, very very thrifty. So, but I mean, it's a really nice, if you can make it work, it's a really nice point to be at, that ultimately to reuse that hardware.
Yeah, as far as reusing and reflying, do you feel, I'm curious if the engines going forward, obviously we've seen SpaceX do propulsive reentry and stuff like that. The actual nozzles themselves are typically cooled regeneratively with cold flowing fuel. How does that happen? Because there's no fuel flowing through them during the reentry process. How do they keep themselves from melting, I guess, with that hot plasma?
Well, they're in canal to start with, and it's a blunt body, so you push the shockwave forward of the it's unlikely that any shockwave's attaching to an engine valve. So you've pushed the majority of the heat flux forward. But that is kind of the art in what we're trying to do here is, the analysis team have a goal of, no greater heat flux during re-entry than during ascent, which is a pretty hefty goal. But, the methodology that we're employing to try and manage those heat loads, and, this is why the corridor angle is so critical. That look, if we can get to that point, then life is very good, because you haven't exceeded any kind of thermal boundaries at all.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I for some reason I don't think I realized that your nozzles are actually made out of Inconel, and that's one of the best materials. Isn't that one of the highest melting materials basically known to humans at this point? It seems like it's right up there.
Well, niobium is much better, but any of those refractory metal alloys. But Inconel is still high melting temperature. Well, more so stronger at elevated temperatures than high melting temperatures. Yeah.
So give me a real quick rundown then on where we're at with Photon. And it sounds like you guys acquired a new company that's going to help. Is that going to help produce photons at a better rate and things like that? And just give me a little rundown on that, because Photon seems to be something that I know you in the industry are as excited. I think for us spaceflight fans, that's one of those things we don't get to see the direct benefit. We don't get to see the flamey end of it getting all exciting. So tell me why that is exciting and where it's at right now.
Yeah. So I mean, look, the mission of Rocket Lab is we're trying to open up space to improve life on Earth. That's the whole point. And I guess one of the things that always frustrated me is that I have a launch vehicle, and you take the kick stage. It has GPS, comms, IMUs, reaction control systems. It is a satellite in its own right. And it would always frustrate me that literally 6 inches away from my satellite is another satellite with sometimes exactly the same equipment on board. And I deliver my customer satellite, and then my satellite's in orbit. We play with it for a while, and then we turn it off. It just seems incredibly wasteful. And then the other element of this is that if you distill out what it takes to build business in space, the launch is one piece, and launch we see as a solved problem now. But the next problem to solve is, how can I make it so that it doesn't take a team of 20 engineers to build a spacecraft? A huge amount of resources, cost, and time, and every spacecraft is different. I mean, the CubeSat is a wonderful example of kind of a standardization. But even within a CubeSat, there's a 3U, 3U Tunacan, 3U XL, and so on and so forth. So what we're trying to do here is provide a best-in-class small satellite bus platform. And really the ethos is that no company should ever have to worry about whether or not their reaction wheels are saturating or any of those kinds of on-orbit, everyday stuff. They should just be worrying about the sensor that generates them revenue. Likewise, a government should be worried about the capability that they're trying to create, rather than contractors building the spacecraft and then the rocket and the spacecraft doing the dance and the coupled loads analysis and all of the junk that goes along with it. Now, how can we seamlessly make this experience or this integration very, very easy? and that's Photon really is what that's what it's trying to address, is just come with your sensor. Everything else should be a commodity. The launch should be a commodity, bus should be a commodity, ground op should be a commodity. Just come with the sensor or the science or whatever you're trying to do, or the business that you're trying to create in LEO, and let's just get it up there quickly.
For some reason, I don't think I had ever thought of it too much, and it makes so much sense when you break it down like that people are spending the same amount of time engineering something that's literally right there. I mean, this totally makes sense. When how much cheaper can someone fly if they don't have to do half of the work? I mean, I don't know why that never hit me.
Yeah, I mean, we talk to customers, and especially government customers, and 18 months is an extraordinary short time to go from, hey, we're going to fly something, to having it on orbit. That's considered to be incredibly quick. 18 months for us is an eternity. In 18 months, that was half the development timeline of Electron. That may as well be half of someone's life. So, we set the goal internally is it should be 3 months. Turn up with your sensor and you should be on orbit within 3 months. So everything has kind of been baselined against that. And then, as we started to build out Photon, we found that the space, satellite and space supply chain is incredibly fragile. Look, we knew that from Electron. That's why we build 90% of all of the stuff that goes in Electron as Rocket Lab built. So we knew that the supply chain is fragile, but I guess I underestimated just how fragile the supply chain for spacecraft and spacecraft components really was. And it's all good and well, setting a goal of saying, well, 3 months from bringing me your sensor to orbit, but if I've got to wait a year to get some critical components from suppliers, that's not going to work. So we needed to make the supply chain much more robust. So we had already spec'd Doug Sinclair's products in our spacecraft because they're beautiful pieces of jewelry, and we love beautiful things. So we'd already baselined those. But it was really a wonderful opportunity because Doug had a great product. We have a great product, but we have the ability to scale products very easily. When you look at satellite components and compare them, alongside rocket components, it's just this is a walk in the park, right? So we had the ability to scale things like star trackers and reaction wheels and torque rods and all those kinds of things. And Doug had beautiful products, so it was really the perfect fit. And we're not just doing it for our own Photon spacecraft. When we talk to other customers that are trying to build their own spacecraft, everybody acknowledges the supply chain is super brittle. So this is about making sure that we don't just provide components to our own platforms. We can provide components to a bunch of other platforms as well. And if they fly an Electron, they fly an Electron. Hey, great. If they don't, they don't. It doesn't matter either. This is all about trying to trying to really move the space economy.
Wow. So I mean, for some, I think that's again another one of those things that some of us don't realize how hard it is to manufacture things and how big of a hurdle that can be, is actually getting things produced at a rate that's sustainable and economically beneficial, because we don't see that on this end of things at all. And I had no idea you guys were actually working on, the option of people buying star trackers or any of that type of stuff, any of those really weird things that you can't just hop on Amazon and buy.
No.
That's really cool. I had no idea. That might be one of those small things in the background that makes a big ripple effect in the industry.
Well, we hope so. I mean, at the end of the day, the more spacecraft that are launched, the better the space economy is, and the easier we can make that, the better as well. I mean, it's a circular reference, right? If you make it easier and easier, then it spins up faster and faster. And it's not just Doug's components that we sell. We've built a whole catalog of our own spacecraft components. So we built, CIBAs, ACS systems, power distribution modules. We have the full suite of satellite components. And the purpose of that is that, you know, we can go to the shelf and pick off anything we want, and build anything we want. And I guess there's no more kind of obvious example of that than the Capstone mission to the moon. We take a Hypercurie engine off the shelf. We take our star trackers off the shelf, reaction wheels off the shelf, all the power modules and power systems off the shelf, and put together that in the format of a mission that can deliver payload to the moon. Likewise, you know, we can assemble those building blocks, if you will, into a LEO platform, a GEO platform. You know, we can even get 20 odd kilograms to Venus. Venus is my personal favorite planet. I love Venus.
Whoa.
It's a totally underrated planet.
Yeah,
Venus.
absolutely.
But you know, there's the photon is a concept. Photon is not a piece of hardware. You know, a photon is you know, an electron emits a photon in some, you know, in a kind of a you know, in a physics standpoint.
Yeah.
So it's really a program, not a hardware platform. So a photon can be a very simple comm spacecraft in LEO. It can be an interplanetary mission as well, with a different collection of hardware.
Wow. I had no idea you could go interplanetary with photon, because you mentioned when we were hanging out at your launch pad that you could basically keep stacking tanks on top of photon and increase your delta V abilities. I mean, obviously there's a point where you're kind of maxing out the vehicle below it, and you're kind of maxing out the platform, of course. But I mean, at this point, could you stick landing legs theoretically on photon, and actually, do you have enough delta V to land a photon on the moon? Oh,
I think that's pushing it. That gets pretty tough. Well,
with Moon Express, they're working on a lander that gets kicked out to TLI on photon, right?
Correct.
And then it stages down from there. So it's probably a nice benefit there to stage at that point and not have to take all that mass to the surface of the moon.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I've learned to never say anything's impossible, because I just end up eating hats. So I'm not going to say that's impossible, but that's another level of tricky. You know, with respect to these smaller platforms, there's certain things that don't trade well. But
could someone buy a photon from you, stick landing legs on it, and fly it on a little bit bigger rocket? Would that be an option?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course. And you know, the photon lunar stage that we've developed we've already been reached out to with a number of the large aerospace companies, because it's a high energy, super high performance, high delta V stage. So whether you're taking a small payload to the moon, or you put 100 kgs on it or a couple of 100 kgs on it and launch it on a bigger vehicle, at the end of the day, it's a spacecraft. And although it's optimized for Electron, so you know, the photon's flight computer is the same flight computer that controls and launches an Electron. So we don't have an Electron flight computer and a photon flight computer. Photon always shares parts of Electron with itself. So when we're in launch mode, the flight computer's in launch mode, and it takes control of the range, and it launches the vehicle and guides it all the way to a home and transfer. The moment we kick off the photon, the flight computer goes, okay, now I'm a satellite, and flips into satellite mode. And wow. It's just a nice way of reusing all of the same hardware that's required on a launch vehicle as a spacecraft.
Wow. So that you're maybe going to be able to fulfill someday my dream. I've always wanted to have some kind of like satellite of the people or something, some everyday satellite or something. I don't know what it is yet. Maybe if our audience can come up with something cool, we'll crowdsource something awesome that people could upload their images or something or something like that on the photon system. That just sounds, for some reason, this is already getting my gears turning. I mean, you can do anything when you have the whole thing kind of laid out for you like that.
Yeah, go to Venus, Tim. You need to go to Venus. That's where it's all happening.
Okay. I mean, I'll do that. That sounds awesome. Is there anything else you're really looking forward to? I know obviously things are kind of probably moving. They're kind of on pause at the moment, I'm sure, with everything happening right now. I think everyone's kind of a little bit half twiddling their thumbs, hoping we're gonna be okay. But in general, down there in New Zealand, what's next for you guys? What are you most looking forward to this year?
Yeah, I mean, as you say, we need to get back to work. I think the whole world is in kind of a holding pattern right now. But you know, presuming everything gets back to work quickly, you know, I guess that there's a few key milestones for us. Is, you know, launch is we're just churning it out, cranking the handle, and you know, there's a lot of vehicles coming down the production line. So that bit is just done. The things that I guess that I'm most excited about, I think things we talked about today is getting that next step of recovery is really important.
Yeah.
You know, getting that stage subsonic and to a point where we can splash it down is really, really important. And I think that is the day of reckoning, is when we fish that thing out of the ocean and see what we've got. That is, you know, that is a point where we'll a defining moment where we'll go, okay, this looks infinitely doable at this point, or man, this is not looking good. So I think that is the key. That's the key element. But you know, we've got through two of the hardest things, in my opinion. You know, the re-entry is by far the hardest. You know, and then capturing it is something we needed to prove that, you know, we could do and do reliably. So that was a big milestone. Mm-hmm. And then look, it's a year of the satellite for Rocket Lab. That's what it's all about. And you know, everyone thinks of Rocket Lab, I guess it's in the name, as a rocket company. But you know, we're really a space company. And you know, building satellites and components, and there's a whole lot of other stuff we do that probably people aren't aware of as well. Is, you know, we manage spacecraft constellations for governments. We do a whole lot of other stuff that is, you know, it's not directly associated with launch. And you know, that's the point, is building the company to, you know, not just be a launch company, because launch is, everyone loves launch. I love launch, but if we really want to deliver on our mission, we have to extend past launch and solve some of the other problems.
That's awesome. I have just one favor to ask, because I think it's going to be pretty cool. Will you please provide as best of footage, probably not live stream, because that gets really difficult when you're in the middle of the ocean. We all know how difficult live streaming is, but will you provide us footage of the recovered stage when you do splash one down? Give us a sense of how it did as soon as you can, because we're all going to be really excited to see that.
Yeah. No problems at all. I don't see any. As long as there's not IP hanging out the side of it, we're happy to share that.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. And one more thing I do have to say, you had me so bad with your Electron Heavy. Oh,
that was good, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. You had me. Yeah. And the internet loved it. That was so great. That was so fun to see. And the worst thing is, you had to have posted that on April 2nd, didn't you? New Zealand time. Well,
I mean, New Zealand time, but you know, it's you got to.
So Electron Heavy confirmed. Electron Heavy confirmed. There we go. Because you posted on the 2nd.
Yeah, and well, that's true. And you know, it also has a full life support system up in the nose cone as well, Tim. Ready
of course, you're ready. Yep, you're ready to send meat now. You're ready.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for spending some time, and stay safe and healthy. And we're still so excited to see what you guys are working on.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching this interview. Don't worry, I've got a lot more content coming. I know I keep saying I'm going to do a quick video, and then I fall into deep rabbit holes, and the video I'm working on currently is definitely not an exception to that rule. I'm working on a video at this moment about whether or not NASA should look at utilizing Starship for the Artemis program, and kind of comparing it to SLS, weighing out the pros and cons of each system. And let me tell you, it's a rabbit hole, but I'm just about done with it. Hopefully it'll be coming out really soon. If you want to support what I do, consider becoming a Patreon member, where you'll gain access to our exclusive subreddit, exclusive Discord, and exclusive live streams. I love hanging out in Discord. It's become a lot more active lately with a lot of people having to work from home. Really good conversations and a lot of fun hanging out in there. So if you want to join us, go to patreon.com/everydayastronaut. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. That's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people.